Hey everyone, I am back for another video. Apologies for the dull background. Once again, I am doing my wake up and film, if you can't tell. And sitting here on the couch just allows me to have a little bit better space to spread out because I've got notes that I need to look at for today, and I have my coffee table too, so I can set down my drink and keep track of the boys while I'm out here in the living room as well. So it's really more advantageous for me to film out here versus in the bedroom. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm here on YouTube showing my personal finance journey towards financial independence, but a huge part of that for me is a health journey as well. I don't want to reach financial independence and have my health suffer along the way, because when I reach financial independence, I want to physically be able to fully enjoy the freedom that I've earned. So with that said, if you have been on my channel for a while, welcome back, glad to have you. And as far as this Health is Wealth update goes, I will update you first on all of the usual things that I have been putting into these videos for the last few months. And then we'll get more into how the holistic doctor is going, the more specifics of why I am seeing them, and what we found out thus far. Firstly, I have been tracking my weight during this journey. When I started this Health is Wealth portion of my channel, that was at the end of October 2019, and I weighed 189. Didn't like the direction the scale was going, so I decided to get this started and try to get things back in gear. Last month when I updated you guys, I weighed 171 even. I was happy with that. An ultimate goal weight that I would be happy with would be the high 150s. I would love to get back down there again, but we're not there yet. And for June, my husband and I were going on a vacation for a week, and then when we got back, I'm starting the detox diet that the holistic doctor prescribed for me. I'm currently doing that now. But I'll go ahead and just fess up and be completely honest with y'all. That week we were at the beach was a complete free-for-all. You name it. Junk food delivered every night. We had Chinese, we had pizza, we had endless crab legs at a buffet. We had all kinds of snacks that we were eating on the pier while we were fishing. They were Little Debbie's, they were cheese crackers, they were snack mix, all of the bad things that you do not want in your diet. That's what we were eating for that entire week. And then I'm sure we were not drinking enough water. Also, I was having myself a little whiskey every day on the pier, and you know, the hubs and family were drinking beer, and we had an absolute blast. And I knew going down into it that it was, you know, that's what it was going to be, and I'm sure that the weight was going to go up while we were down there. But mentally, I knew that when we got back, the detox diet starts and no more bad stuff. So that being said, when we went down to the beach, my weight was 171. I did weigh myself when I got back from the beach, and my weight in a week shot up to 179 pounds even. Holy hell, right? Now I know most of that is water weight. I mean, you just can't gain 8 pounds of fat in 1 week, but still that was kind of shocking to see that on the scale. And then I started my detox diet, and today is day 9 of the detox diet. My current weight is 172.6. So since coming back from the beach, I am down 6.4 pounds, which is great. And I mean, like, today is just the beginning of day 9. So I've been doing this detox diet a hair over a week, and I'm down 6.4 pounds. But my weight being 172.6, I am not back down to that 171 yet that I was before we went to the beach. So technically I'm still up 1.6 pounds from last month's Health is Wealth update. But the detox diet will continue. Hopefully that will work itself out. And the other thing that I update you guys on are my measurements. I measure chest, waist, hips, and one thigh, just to kind of keep track of how that's looking. So for my chest, I was up 2 inches. Don't know why. For my waist, I was the same. Hip was the same, and my thighs, I was down 1/2 inch. So overall, I'm up 1.5 inches as far as my measurements go. So yeah, I don't know what that's about, but that should probably work itself out too as I continue the detox diet. So that'll wrap it up for all of the usual things that I discuss for the Health is Wealth journey. If you were here just to get updated numbers, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Now for the details on this holistic practice, what we have done thus far, what I've learned, how the detox diet is going, etc. So briefly, just why I am choosing to see a holistic practitioner. Y'all know I do work in healthcare. However, I feel like traditional medicine really is only a part of the puzzle, and ultimately it's on our own shoulders to take care of ourselves, guys. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and doctors can only do so much for you. So why holistic medicine specifically? I like the fact that a holistic practitioner will look for the root cause of any problems that you're having versus just throwing medicine at symptoms. And also, holistic practices, the one I'm seeing included, for example, when you go to the doctor and you get blood work drawn and they look at a range of what the lab results are, right? And if you fall within that range, then you're considered normal. Even if you're at the low end of normal, you're still in the normal range. Or if you're at the high end of normal, you're still at the normal range, so they aren't too concerned about it. But a holistic practitioner uses functional lab ranges. It's a narrower margin of what they consider normal. This being because when you see a normal doctor that just uses lab standard ranges, those ranges come from everyone that's had lab work done. They average all of the results together and come up with a range. Now, the people that are averaged into that are healthy people, but there are sick people as well. Holistic practices use a narrower range because the range they come up with as functional ranges are from healthy people only. So you may have some lab works that look normal to a primary care physician, but to a holistic practitioner, they're going to be abnormal. And me having thyroid issues, that was something that I really wanted to address, because I know there's many cases where a primary care physician will see an out of normal thyroid range like they did for me and just prescribe me something, but that was it. He didn't look into the other areas of why my thyroid is suddenly hypoactive. And for my thyroid values to be out of range for a primary care physician, then I know they're really out of whack for a holistic physician to look at. So I did want to delve into that further and see if I can nail down my thyroid issues better so that I can feel better. So those two reasons are the two main reasons why I wanted to see a holistic physician for a while and see if I can't start feeling better. This video is probably going to run long. I have already been filming now for 11 minutes, so y'all just grab you a coffee or something and sit down, because we haven't even got to my lab works, how the detox is going, and everything we found thus far. Sorry for the rambling, but if I'm going to spend over $6,000 on a holistic physician right now and not choose to max out my Roth IRA for the year, and me being a financial channel, I feel like we should really discuss the whys of that. So as for the conditions that I am seeking treatment for from this holistic practice, my thyroid issues is top priority, number one. And thankfully, the holistic physician, he has run a full set of thyroid labs for me, and he's compared them with lab work that I've had previously. The lab work I've had previously was limited, granted, but he still took a look at how things were trending on those limited panels. And then when he ordered the full panel, he was able to put things together a little bit better for me. So I am extremely happy to report that I do not have an autoimmune thyroid issue. That is great, because that means that if we can figure out why my thyroid is going haywire with it not being an autoimmune thing, then there's a chance that I can come off of thyroid medication. So in my case specifically, they were discovering that my thyroid is making plenty of T3 and T4. It's making enough thyroid hormone for my body. The problem is my body is having trouble utilizing that thyroid hormone and getting it to uptake. So my brain keeps telling my thyroid to make more hormone, and that's what finally showed up on my lab works on And that's what finally showed up on my lab work with my primary care physician. My TSH was up, my thyroid stimulating hormone, because my brain keeps telling my thyroid to make more hormone. But I have plenty of hormone. I'm just not utilizing it for some reason. So we're going to delve further into why that is. And they've added on some supplements that I'm now taking with all the rest of my supplements. Here is 1 day's worth of supplements for me. This is what I was taking before I saw the holistic physician. This is 1 single day's worth of vitamins. I keep the supplements that they added to my regime separate. Just so I can make doubly sure that I do not forget to take those every day. So one of the things that they have added for me are some thyroid support supplements, and I'm hoping that with those it will help my body to utilize the hormones that my thyroid is making, and thus if that starts happening, then my brain should stop screaming at my thyroid to make more hormone. So my lab work should come down without having to up my Synthroid dose every time the labs go out of range for a primary care physician, because that's what they do. They just monitor this wide range of what is considered normal for your TSH. If your TSH goes up above, then that tells the primary care physician your brain is telling your thyroid to make more thyroid hormones. You must not have enough. Here, take the Synthroid. When in actuality, in my complete picture, I'm making enough hormone. My body just can't use it. So we're trying to get my body to utilize it more so that I don't have to keep upping that Synthroid dose for forever and ever, amen. So already we're getting some progress here. The other main reason that I am seeing this holistic physician is because just overall, I feel like for me only being 34, I don't feel like my old self. Now I know I'm not in my 20s anymore, but I'm 34. I should still wake up with energy to get out of the bed and like do things and be motivated for the day. And I just don't feel like my energetic self. When I wake up in the morning, I have to bribe myself to get out of bed with coffee. Used to, in my 20s, I would only drink coffee. I would make me a cup if I was going into work just to have a little energy boost, and that's it. I now need coffee to feel normal. And with this detox diet, I am supposed to be cutting down a little bit. As y'all can see, that's a giant 30-ounce tumbler there, and I'm filming this in the morning. I have to work tonight, so the only time that I allow myself to have one of these big cups of coffee is if it's a work night. So believe it or not, I am trying to cut down on the coffee consumption. If I'm off work, I will have a smaller cup of coffee, or if I feel okay when I wake up in the morning, I will try to just go without. But their reasoning for wanting to cut back on the coffee consumption is for if you have sleep troubles, and I do have sleep troubles, but I really don't believe that it's from the caffeine consumption. It's from my weird work schedule, because I work 3rd shift, split days, so I'm constantly flip-flopping back and forth between day shift and night shift. I think that's why I have trouble sleeping, not the coffee. Went on a tangent there about coffee, sorry y'all. But overall, energy, feeling motivated. I am generally a happy and an optimistic person, and I still am, but I feel like my energy is just being sucked away from me. I don't know why, and I'm hoping that they can get to the root cause of that as well. They have done some investigating so far, and that is what we will get into next. We're gonna take a look at the labs that they've done so far, as well as some of the other findings that we have found about myself. Another cool thing that they do, this is more than just blood work that they look at. They actually took a look at my genetic code. Way back when I had my Ancestry DNA stuff done, they looked at the root code on my genes, my individual genome, to determine if I had any genetic problems that could be contributing to these things. And it turns out that I do. It was very, very interesting. We had an hour-long appointment discussing just my genetic code. But to start with, we'll look at the labs first. So for lab work, they ordered a complete blood cell count with differential and a chemistry. They also looked at pancreas enzymes. They did a urinalysis. They did a lot of labs from the get-go. They also checked a couple of just individual vitamin levels, some B vitamins and things. And not only did they look at their results, but me having the weight loss surgery that I had years ago and having surgical malabsorption, they looked at all the lab work that I had had in recent years as well. I sent that to them, so they compared everything to see how things were trending, which that is something that is hard to get a primary care physician to do too. So I was really happy that they were willing to look at all of that and to keep this video kind of on the shorter side. In summary, what we found was that my liver is congested, is the way that they put it. My zinc and my vitamin B6 were low, a lot lower than what the holistic physician wanted to see, which led them to ordering another genetic test that we'll get to in a second. They suspect that the liver congestion and the low vitamin levels on some things may be a stomach acid problem. They think that I'm not making enough stomach acid to help me fully break down my food and allow my body to absorb the nutrients of it. Also, the surgical malabsorption comes into play there because I physically have a shorter length of intestines wherein I can absorb nutrients from my food than a normal person. That is also further compounded by the fact that I don't have a gallbladder anymore, so there's less acid there available to help me break down my food and use it most efficiently. Also, they discovered that I am hypoglycemic chronically. They took a look at just the spot check blood glucose on my labs from the labs they did and years previous, and my glucose has always been in the low normal range. Now, I'm always fasted when I have this lab work done, so I never gave it a second thought because I knew I was fasted and it was in the low range, but it was still normal, whatever. For the holistic practice, it was low, and they ran an A1C as well just to see where that landed, and my A1C was low as well. I did have an A1C done a few years ago too, and even then it was still low. Now, most people get their A1C checked to see how high their blood sugar is averaging over the past couple of months because they're diabetic, but people like me, apparently, I am hypoglycemic. I have low blood sugar chronically. That can be contributing to some of my energy levels, and basically the doctor said that they want me to eat something every 2 to 3 hours at most, and I'm working on that. I'm actually pretty bad at that because I'll get going doing something and I get so in the zone doing things that I forget to eat. Like this, for instance. All I have right now is my coffee, and I've been filming for 25 minutes and 54 seconds. I have not eaten breakfast yet, so as soon as I get done filming this, I'm gonna get me something to eat. But anyway, that can be a contributing factor as well to my energy levels. I just don't have the blood sugar to feel energized. So to help support that, I'm going to eat more often, and they have added in ox bile, a acid that's supposed to help me better utilize the food that I eat, and they've added in some pancreatic enzymes as well to help me break down my food a little bit better and help me absorb it just a little bit better. Other findings on my labs from the holistic physician, my vitamin D level was not as high as they like it to be. It was about 44, which is a lot better than some people that they see, they told me. And that's higher than what mine has been previously, but I supplement vitamin D as part of my weight loss surgery, and anyway, it's at 44. They wanted it up closer to 80, so they added in a different type of vitamin D for me to take. Been taking that as well. Also, they found that I am likely chronically dehydrated, so yeah, I need to focus on drinking more water, and they're having me drink a special drink every day of 100% cranberry juice with apple cider vinegar to help with stomach acid, lemon juice, I think just to help with the flavor of it. And then they also want me to put just like a 1/4 teaspoon of Celtic sea salt in there to help me absorb the water better. And the sea salt helps provide lots of micro minerals and things that most people miss in their day-to-day diet. So I've been doing that as well. That sums up the findings that I had on the lab work that they did. Now, from that lab work, they decided to do another test. This is a genetic test that they looked at. When they saw that my B6 levels were low and my zinc levels were low, that prompted them to order a test for pyroluria. I will put a text in that shows what that is. I had never heard of this before, and I did some reading on the internet about it, and apparently there's some debate about whether it's actually a real thing or not. Long story short, it is a measurable finding in some people, and people with high cryptopyrroles have these certain symptoms, so I think it's a real thing. And the more reading that I did on pyroluria and reading what the symptoms were, I was like, oh my God, that is me 100%. So we did this test, and for the holistic practice, there's a low range, there's a mid range, and there's a high range. Low range of cryptopyrroles, you don't have it. Mid range, maybe you have it. High range, okay, you have it. So what this is when your body breaks down red blood cells, they leave behind this thing called cryptopyrroles. Most normal people are able to excrete those in their urine, no problem. Some people have trouble excreting those cryptopyrroles and they build up. I am one of those people, and it takes years for any of it to manifest and start causing a problem as far as the symptoms of pyroluria go. But I'm about at that age where symptoms start manifesting themselves. So anyhow, they tested me for pyroluria, and there was the low, mid, and the high range. I was up out of the high range. So I was a strong positive for this, and the plan for helping with that is the problem with just letting the cryptopyrroles sit around in your body is that they are highly attracted to zinc and to B6. If your cryptopyrroles are sticking to all of your zinc and B6, then there's not enough left for your body to utilize. And that creates a whole cascade of other problems related to the pyroluria, but also some of these other things I've been having. That could be contributing to the liver congestion and my thyroid problems. There was a lot of ways that zinc and B6 can tie into your overall health, and it's being affected within me. So to combat this pyroluria, some other supplements they put me on was extra zinc and some B6 supplementation as well. Now, all of these supplements I had been taking before seeing the holistic doctor. Believe it or not, one of the things I was not taking was B6. And the reason I did not take B6 before is because, unlike other B vitamins, if you take too much, you can't just pee it out. Sometimes you can get toxic in B6 if you aren't careful. I didn't think that I particularly needed any B6, but apparently I do, and I need more than the average person. So we've added in zinc and B6 to combat the pyroluria. And pyroluria is a genetic condition. I will always have that, so I'm always gonna have to supplement at least zinc and B6, but that's okay. These supplements I have to take for my weight loss surgery are a lifelong thing anyway. I'm fine taking supplements. I just want to feel good and not have to be on prescription medication if I can help it. Next, I'm going to show you the genetic code breakdown that they looked at from my Ancestry DNA information. This stuff is just so cool to me. I completely nerded out on all of these things. And so before I show you this, if you see something that's highlighted in green, that means that it's functioning as it should. If you see something highlighted in orange, that means that it's about halfway functioning. And anything in red is not working at all. So there's a couple pages here. Here is the first page of some of these genetic markers that they look at as far as how it relates to your health. As you can see, there was a lot of orange on that page, so I have a lot of things that are just kind of halfway functioning. Page 2. Only a couple things that were highlighted pink there or red. So those are the things that are not working in my body personally. Just seeing this overview of the results, that helped explain a bunch of things too, because it's like, you know, it could definitely be worse, but I've got a lot of things that are just kind of halfway working. So that is why I'm kind of just overall feeling like meh, you know, like my energy isn't where I should be, but there's not any one particular thing that I can put my finger on as to why I think that might be. So, diving a little deeper into these genetic codes, the first group that they looked at was the folate cycle. And I had a lot of orange there, but some people are completely red when it comes to that. So again, it could be worse. But the folate cycle has to do with folic acid synthesis, and mine is halfway working. If the folate cycle is not functioning optimally, dysfunction in the areas of energy generation, DNA synthesis, and repair and methylation occurs. So that's my energy cycle, and it's kind of halfway doing what it should. Some risks of this folate cycle being off is that I am at a higher risk for Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia, and premature coronary artery disease. So something to consider doing is to supplement choline to help combat all of these things. And just a side note before we continue on in the other cycles, it surprised me a lot actually how many times schizophrenia came up in my genetic code. So I think I was about a hair's width away of being a little crazy, y'all. So next is the methionine cycle, and if this is dysfunctional, methylation becomes inhibited and homocysteine levels may increase. So this is another thing that's kind of halfway functioning for me. They did test my homocysteine levels and they were okay. So I'm making do with this right now. But if the methionine cycle is off, then you are at a higher risk for schizophrenia. Thankfully, mine's halfway working at least. Next pathway that they looked at genetically is the transsulfuration pathway. And this has to do with the ability of the body to reduce free radicals and oxidative stresses. Hopefully you can start to understand why this appointment of mine took an hour to go through. It was really interesting. And like even on these results that I'm looking at, they give you the chart of how this shows up in your body. All of the chemical processes that take place for all of these different things, which is just way beyond my level of understanding. I find it very interesting, but still, I just love the level of detail that they went to for this. So the ability of my body to reduce free radicals and oxidative stresses. Again, my transsulfuration pathway was halfway functioning. Better than nothing, I guess. Associated symptoms and conditions may be osteoporosis for this. And one of the mutations I have that were halfway functioning is that I may have an increased cancer risk. So that is just something to keep in mind. And again, good motivation to take care of myself better, which I am trying my best to do here. The next pathway that they looked at was the bioterin pathway. And this has to do with sleep, anxiety, mood swings, energy levels, sex drive, all of that stuff. And again, as my husband may attest to, it's halfway working. Maybe TMI for you guys, but anyhow, this pathway that they checked, everything was in the orange level. So nothing is working optimally, but everything is working somewhat. So associated conditions with this bioterin pathway is that higher risk for autism, Parkinson's disease, and it also says that genetic mutations that decrease enzymatic activity, which is what I have, can lead to elevations in estrogens, which have been shown to damage DNA and have carcinogenic potential. And higher levels of COMT, which I have, also result in decreased levels of dopamine and norepinephrine. So again, sleep, mood, anxiety, all of that stuff. Now, I mean, this is my genetic code, so there's no changing it, but having the knowledge is step number one in feeling better. Now, two of the genes that I had in this bioterin pathway were halfway functioning, but the particular heterozygous presentation that I have of these two genes were actually protective against schizophrenia. So yay, I'm not actually crazy in the end. So the next pathway that they checked is the histamine pathway, and this has to do with how well your body is able to metabolize some things, including drugs. And again, I was halfway functioning in most of the genes that they looked at, except for one of them was red. One of the genes that they looked at in this pathway that was halfway functioning, one of the associated symptoms and conditions are schizophrenia, yet again. The other gene that was in this pathway has to do with clearance of various drugs, environmental chemicals, and histamine. So this was one of the ones that was not functioning at all the way that it should. So whenever I have stressors come into my body, whether it is a drug or some sort of chemical, environmental thing, my body is slower at clearing it out than average. This can put people at increased risk for various diseases such as cancer, asthma, and neurological disorders. But that's my genetic code, so I just have to do my best to take care of myself and hope for the best. Daddy doesn't like for you to be in my YouTube videos, you know. He's like a cat when he climbs up on the back of the couch. Oh well, as long as he's quiet, I don't care. We're continuing on. Some other bonus genetic codes that they checked out. There were 3 that they looked at that all have different functions, but in me, they came out in the orange group. They're halfway functioning, and the bottom line is with those 3 is that I should consider supplementing vitamin A, which I already do. So we're good there. The other thing that was in orange is a factor that they looked at that elevates risk for many autoimmune and inflammation-based diseases. Consider more vigilant management of inflammation through healthy sleep patterns, anti-inflammatory diet, moderate exercise, and adequate levels of magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, and chromium, and avoiding smoking, alcohol, lead, gluten, and elevated blood glucose and insulin. So that function was another orange kind of halfway functioning type of thing, and I'm doing my best to help prevent any autoimmune and inflammation-based diseases with help from this holistic doctor. So the last 2 things that were in the red for me, one of them, basically in Caucasian women, it means that I have 2 times the risk for breast cancer, but it's theorized that this specific mutation I have, that in humans with enough choline from dietary sources, this mutation is helpful as it spares methyl groups from other biological activities. It's selected for because it protects against disease, most notably malaria. And yeah, it just goes on to say that I am protected against malaria by having this genetic mutation, and that I can consider supplementing choline. So interesting there. I'm protected against malaria, but may have a higher risk for breast cancer. So, all right. The other red thing is a genetic mutation that basically results in me having higher than average arachidonic acid levels. So for me, I need to avoid intaking any more arachidonic acid and omega-6 because I already have higher than average levels, and if I don't do that, then it can mess with my cholesterol and cause pro-inflammatory compounds. The last 2 genetic codes that they looked at, again, came out in orange and basically just say that I don't utilize vitamin D very well, so I probably need to supplement extra. Basically, I'm white, I have a Scottish background, so yeah, I need to supplement some extra vitamin D. That's all that says. So that was it for the genetic code that they took a look at and my lab work. Holy shit, I've been filming for 53 minutes now. If y'all are still here, thanks for watching. You the real MVP. I'm gonna try to cut this down as much as I possibly can, of course. But still, the last thing I wanted to discuss in this video is this detox diet and how it's going, what it is, and what the purpose of it is. So for 30 days, in my diet, I am not allowed any added sugar, no fake sugar, no corn, no rice, no grains, no soy, no dairy, no gluten, no wheat at all. The purpose of this detox diet is to cut out most of the things that cause allergic reactions in people and you cut those out completely for a month. That gives your body time to detox itself and let your gut bacteria and everything regulate to a level that it should be at. And after the 30 days are over, you can begin to add in those things back into your diet very slowly. Like for me, the thing that I miss the most is dairy. So, excuse me. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to add back in after the 30 days is probably going to be some dairy. I'd like to have some heavy cream back in my coffee. I miss cheese. So after the 30 days are up, day 31, I'm going to add in cream to my coffee, and for lunch I'll have cheese with whatever I'm eating. Same thing for dinner. And then for the next 3 days, I have to track my symptoms and go back to eating completely clean, cut the dairy back out. And after those 3 days, if I'm not having any symptoms of an allergic reaction or other problems to dairy that my body will tell me I have, that I will be more attuned to since I've been doing the detox for a month, then I can have dairy back into my diet on the regular, and I can move on to adding back in the next thing. Basically, that is how the detox diet works, and so far so good, y'all. I am just focusing on eating real whole food. You are allowed fruit, so I've been having fruit a lot more than what I usually do whenever I do a keto style or a true low carb style of eating. And honestly, I'm starting to suspect that with my hypoglycemia issues that I may need that. Whenever I would do a low carb or a keto style diet, I know they talk about like keto flu and low carb flu whenever you have that sugar detox from your body. But y'all, that whenever I would do it strictly, that would come and just stay for me. I had a hard time with that sugar detox, and I think that maybe my blood sugar was just getting a little too low. So I think for me, fruit is gonna be okay as long as I am adding it with some fat and fiber, and I'm not just drinking straight up orange juice. So the detox is going okay so far. I do feel a little bit better, and I have lost some weight since the detox started, but you know, I blew up like a balloon when I was eating all of that junk food at the beach for a week before we started this. So of course I'm feeling a little bit better, right? Today is day 9 of the detox diet. We'll see how I feel at the end of the 30 days. I'll update y'all again on my next Health is Wealth update. That'll be the first Thursday in August. It should not run as long as this one did, since we already went through all of my findings thus far for the holistic practice. There's other things that they are testing now that we're going to take a look at, but I have to wait until after the detox is over for one, and the other is a hormone test that I have to do on a specific day during my cycle. So that's the other thing that we are going to test. We'll see what that shows. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for this Health is Wealth update. I just really wanted to do a deep dive into this to explain why I'm doing all of this. Health is wealth, you guys. And yes, it was over $6,000 for me to do this holistic program with this doctor, but I believe that it is going to be well worth it. So if you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching. I will see y'all in my next one. Bye, guys.